Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Rubbins Racin Next Gen Series every Tuesday night, sponsored by Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. Today, we're at the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway, and it's a little bit different. We've got dirt on the track here tonight, no asphalt, and guaranteed to be a sliding good time. As always, my name's James East, accompanied by the world-famous Finley Fitzsimmons, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. And we're really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. Finley, we're at Dirt Bristol, and I don't think anybody's really prepared for it this time around.
No, it's a completely different way of racing here. Although it is an oval and there are four corners, the way they have to drive these cars are handled so much differently to, obviously, you know, the dirt. The biggest difference being.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very interesting one. As right now, qualifying underway, it looks like it's going to be Stephen Plask in the top spot in the number 8 machine. He clicked off an 18.41, and I'm very interested to see just how dry slick this track is going to be by the time it's all said and done. The more laps they turn, the tougher and tougher it's going to get here at Bristol. So very interested to see how this is going to go, and not many drivers still out on track. I think we've got Stephen Gibbs, the number 53 machine. Pan into Greg Mitchell. There we go. There's Gibson, the 53, the Evan Williams back Chevrolet. I don't know what we're going to see here tonight, but with no fast repairs, I'm a little apprehensive that things aren't going to go as easy as some of the guys are looking for.
Yeah, you do get a lot of bumping on these dirt tracks, so it's a lot hard to keep your vehicle in a straight line. As well, through these corners, you can see getting very, very high. It's just difficult to hold your line. So, especially with how wide the track as well, it's very tempting to go 2 and 3 wide. But that definitely, at some point, will cause an incident. So maybe they may have to hold back just a little bit. Or maybe they'll go full send and gain those positions. We'll have to see how they play this out and how much risk they choose to take here tonight. So just waiting for Greg Mitchell, our last man here, our current P2 man, finishing off his laps now in this qualifying session in number 2 Chevrolet Monsterback machine, as he now crossed the line just under 2/10 to our current pole sitter, Stephen Plask.
Plask, he's kind of on a level of his own here in qualifying, and with this qualifying, I wonder if some drivers such as Mitchell, who's on camera right now in that number 2 machine, wonder if he's just trying to get a little bit of extra seat time and maybe just get comfortable out here.
Yeah, definitely. He's been doing more than his qualifying laps, just getting every inch of practice he can get before that race. Any bit of practice I think these drivers will definitely take, because it's really different, and like any kind of, as I said, any practice would definitely help.
Yeah, seat time is seat time is seat time. We got about 30 minutes left in quali here as we watch Mitchell still ripping around now. These lap times won't count for him here, but just trying to get a little bit more comfortable. And I'm curious to see if our timing software is still going to update as he makes his way around for what will be his 3rd lap. Does he improve on 18.58? Doesn't show it updating, so I'm almost wondering if the broadcast software kind of quits recording here after you get those 2-time laps. But hey, Mitchell's here to get that seat time. He's got no more seconds left, but might as well use all of them when he can.
Yeah, as we say that though, looks like qualifying has finished here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway, so we're going to pull up our grid here for tonight. Your P1 sitter, Stephen Plask, I believe a new comer to the series as well, on your pole position, followed by Greg Mitchell P2, Jared Reed in P3, followed by Nick Lear in P4, running out your 2nd row, followed by Derek Grigsby, Aaron Sayer, followed by Carter Lins, David Reed, Jake Vanoski, Stephen Gibson, Mark Cassano, and in P12 is Matt Kleeman. That will be your grid here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway, as our drivers are now just about to grid up in a second here as we get ready for today's race.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what it's going to go. 75 laps here at Bristol Dirt, waiting for everybody to make their way out onto the grid. Plask and Mitchell are going to be on the front row. Reed, Leo, your 2nd row. Grigsby and Sayer, your 3rd row. It's a lot of big names, but getting a little bit of echo, I think. But looking at the guys they're licensing, not a lot of these guys run dirt races that much. There's a couple of C-class dirt guys and a few, mostly 1A, a couple C's, and then a whole lot of dirt rookie and D license. So these guys aren't dirt professionals. Definitely not their main focus, so it's going to be interesting to see how the asphalt drivers make their way out as we get ready to roll out behind our iRacing pace truck.
As we roll out on to the racing surface here tonight, it will be Stephen Plask on that inside line, the number 8 Chevrolet machine, following a Dale Earnhardt scheme, following the good wrench branding. He will be controlling the restart on that inside line.
Finley, we kind of talked about it earlier right before the broadcast. We're not sure if these guys are going to be using the new iRacing restart zones or if maybe they're doing it the old-fashioned way once the safety truck makes its way on. It's kind of a free-for-all, so going to be interesting to see how this one pans out. As it looks like Cassano able to get the 44 machine
about
fired
that.
up. He's up an entire track length
No, it's all
behind
good.
here,
We just
so
know we wanna
has
let
to very
Steven
quickly
know
catch
that
up to this pack if
if
he
he
wants
does
to start at the same time as the
finish
rest
this
of the
in
field.
first or third,
Yeah, he's got a little bit of
just
catch
focus
up.
on the interview.
He's a bit behind the pack. I think we do have 2 pace laps here at Bristol Dirt, so I think he may have a chance to catch back up to the pack
If you're
before the
talking
race
somewhere
starts.
else, let 'em know.
Now, Finley, as we get ready
Yeah,
to
let
fire
him know.
things off, what are you thinking? When are we going to see the first caution? I'm going to kind of take a guess here and say it's almost a certainty that we'll see the caution. The big question is when it's going to fly.
That is the big question here tonight. A lot of us seeing a couple new faces here. As I interrupt you there, looks like we're going green here tonight. Greg Mitchell getting a really good start on that outside line there. However, it looks like the inside line with a shorter track distance is able to edge through the mid corner. It looks like the 8 of Stephen Plask has been able to edge in front again of Greg Mitchell.
Plask, your race leader, we're checking in on Jared Reed as it looks like Mitchell tagged the high line there. Now, these guys, until the track gets burned in, they're going to have a lot of choices on how to get around this raceway relatively quickly as you watch Reed rip in the bottom line. Now, later on in the race, I think that line out of Plask, out of Mitchell will be a little bit better as we check in on Aaron Sayer in the 42 machine. Now, again, I think as the race goes on, you're going to see more drivers naturally go up to the high line looking for a little bit of moisture to try and keep things pointed. But right now, that bottom line can work for these guys. Nick Leo trying to make the pass on Sayer. And what's interesting for me to see is just how hard it is for these guys to hold on to the car down the very brief straightaway. So we get a little bit of contact there between Sayer and Leo. The battle for 6 is underway here.
Yeah, looks like the top 6 battle is now won. A little point to note though, Nick Leo, our championship leader, is currently down 3 spots from where he began. He's currently back down in P7, starts all the way up in P4 in the number 69 Chevrolet. Not having the best of starts here tonight. Maybe the dirt is starting to pose a little bit of a challenge, or maybe just had a little bit of a bad resize. It looks like Aaron Sayer on the outside, nearly coming down into Nick Leo there. Nick Leo just about able to avoid him.
The last time I've called one of these races, we go on board with Leo in the 69. Last time I called this was for actually, or watching it, was the eNASCAR series, and that was impressive to me. It's just how bumpy the track got. Now, I want to say those guys did about 150 laps tonight. For Rubbins Racing, we're doing 75. So maybe the track won't get quite as beat up with 12 cars and a few less laps. But look at the slide job out of Leo, taking over the 6th place as the 69 is going to try and start getting some forward momentum here. He's about 2.8 seconds back from 5th place Grigsby. So a long way to go, but this is all about points here, so he may not be super comfortable on dirt, that's Nick Leo, but hey, still got the points at the end of the day, and I believe I read as well, there's bonus points available for those that can finish tonight with a 0x.
Yeah, rewarding these drivers for the safer races, so they may be a little bit more kind of oh, looks like the first caution of the night. I think we need a wreckage rewind on that one, James. But now we're watching Mark Cassano in number 44 machine. He dives down the inside of Matt Kleeman in the 19. So it looks like he just loses the rear end on the low line. Can't quite hang on to it. He's just stopped there on the racing surface as it goes down into pit road. And I think that's what caused the caution.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised the caution came out for that one. I guess he was technically on the racing surface, but it was able to get it down pit road relatively quickly. So, hey, well done to him. And that'll be our first caution of the night on lap 9 of 75. It's going to be Plask and Reed, the front row. Mitchell, Linz, your second row. Grigsby and Leo, your third rows. It looks like Steven Gibson might have come down pit road as well in the 53 machine.
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting choice, it seems. I'm not quite sure why he's coming down pit road this early. Maybe he's got some strategy in hand. Maybe he's relying on... Maybe... Or do we need to make a pit stop this race? Do you think we'll be able to make it to the end on field? Or do you think...
Hey, I don't know. It's 80% fuel alignment here at Bristol. In my head, really nothing to base that on. Unfortunately, I don't have any data for this. I would think he would be, or most of the guys would be good to go to the end, but maybe he's thinking something we're not. Maybe he had some damage on the 53. I'm not entirely sure, but he only lost 1 spot from where he originally started, so it could be a good strategy that pays off later.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. Maybe, yes, as you said, James, maybe we're missing something, and he saw something that we don't, and none of the others do see, that may play a factor later on in the race. He isn't, I'll say, well, He's a driver who knows what he's doing. These drivers in this series do know what they're doing, and yeah, I'm sure that he's sort of something that we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting. I mean, a lot of these guys are kind of new to dirt, but extremely good when it comes to strategizing throughout the regular season. I don't know what to expect. I had the opportunity to drive one of the cars with the setup they provided before today's broadcast. And granted, that was very late in the practice. The track was extremely dry slick, and it seemed like the high line became very dominant. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. We still have pretty much good grooving all across the track for these guys to try and make something happen. So I don't think we're going to go into one-line racing yet. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm counting on it to be interesting.
Yeah, we did see the gap stretch out a little bit. There was only one battle on track before the caution came out. Hopefully we get some more racing this time around. Although the gaps were only about 1 second too, like, between each cars. It did stretch out very quickly. However, we are already on lap 12 of 75 as the pace car comes down pit road. And the number 8, Stephen Plask, off to the restart once again. Getting a little bit of a jump start on Jared Reed behind. Gets a little bit left in the dust, but it looks like both of them are able to gap Jared Mitchell and the rest of the pack as well.
Yeah, those top 3 drivers just checking out here. Each one's pulled at a minimum about a half second over each other. Checking in on Grigsby, he's about, Leo. He's about, well, he's right in the mix of it here. There's Carter Lenz, Aaron Sayer, a 3-car battle here for the 5th place spot. Now look at this, Leo still staying on the bottom line while Lenz and Sayer up against the wall. We may see a slide job come into play here from the 69, and he's not hucking it in there nearly as sideways as the other guys around. I'm not sure if that's maybe trying to get the fastest time, but I think things are about to get exciting up front as well.
Yeah, we have about a 1/10 gap, so it looks like Jared Reed's on the outside now of Stephen Plask, who's also on the inside line. Stephen Plask getting a little bit loose, I think, there on the inside. It looks like Jared Reed on the outside is starting to edge a little bit of a gap as he gets ahead coming down the back, or the front straightaway.
Plask all sorts of out of shape there on that number 8 Chevrolet. Jared Reed's Ford pulls a quick 3/10 gap. Reed, I mean, just what we were talking about earlier, Reed starts ripping the high line, and it looks like Plask has started running a little bit as well. Now, for those watching along at home, you can see kind of that darker dirt around the top here. That is track that still has a little bit of traction, and speaking up top, Mitchell goes all the way to the wall. So those guys are looking for the most grip they can possibly find. As this race progresses, you're actually going to start to see a black groove in the race line, and that is where it is treacherously slippery. Slippy's not a word. And now Stephen Plask, who was charging up front, now falls back to 4th as Greg Mitchell and Derek Grigsby take over the top 3 spots.
Yeah, both of them using that high line to their advantage, getting around Stephen Plask in the 8. He just can't quite keep his... Yeah, he's definitely struggling to keep that car underneath him. I'm not sure if he's not used to a setup, something a bit different than he usually uses. Or maybe it's just an experience thing. We'll have to wait on that one. But it looks like there's Carter Linz now, the number 4 machine challenging him.
Yeah, Lynn's up 2 spots from where he started. Meanwhile, Plask is down 3. Keep an eye out. Lynn's may throw it up the inside here against that number 8. But I think running that high line gives you a little bit better drive out of the corners if, and that's a big if you can keep it off the wall here at Bristol. And very intrigued. I mean, we're 20 laps in. It's a very short race tonight, 75 laps. And I think there's still going to be some good racing over here as Lynn's trying to close that 4/10 advantage that Plask has, just not having any luck here. And Plask starting to pull ahead a little bit more as he rides around that 4th place position.
Yeah, it looks like we have the closest battle at the moment is for, I believe, P11 or P10, excuse me, between Stephen Gibson and David Reed at the back of the pack currently. As I say that, Stephen Plask is now running pretty close. Or Carter Linz, excuse me, is getting pretty close to Black again. So it looks like gaps are a little bit fluctuating at the moment. But Carter Linz is definitely starting to get in that review mirror at the 8.
All about line selection here, I would say. Guys trying to keep that average lap time down, and now you can start to see that black, dry, slick spot really showing its head here. So I think that's why you're seeing more of the guys run that predominant high line. trying to get that quarter panel just as close as they can to the wall. And what's really tough about these next-gen Cup cars is, for me as a driver, not a lot of adjustment in the wheel. You have to really just yank the wheel left and right to try and get anything to happen out of it. So very tough to hold on to and fight with, as it looks like, I mean, Linz and Plask are still right there with each other. Neither driver really gaining an advantage on the other.
Yeah, it's definitely like who has the more grip. It's not really, of course the lines do make a difference, but it's just where the grip and how they find it. Who manages to find that grip in that corner seems to have the edge. Seems like it's back and forth here, as it looks like Matt Kleeman also starting to get lapped on the outside line.
It's Kleeman, the number 19 machine. It looks like the 52 of Reed also getting ready to go a lap down to your 5th place driver, Carter Lenz. And up ahead, Grigsby and Plask going side by side. Oh, this is going to be a good one. Grigsby up high, Plask down low, but no, Plask has problems.
Yeah, Plask down into that inside wall there. He's really struggling to keep his car under him. That rear end just getting loosey-goosey all over the place as we hit that 28 of 75.
Yeah, good save there. I mean, save, I guess, is all relative. He did hit the wall, but no caution, no very hard impact out of the number 8 Chevrolet. So we'll keep things going with some forward momentum as we check back in with Jared Reed. Talk about forward momentum, 3.7 seconds up from 2nd place Greg Mitchell, and looks like he's just making it look extremely easy, a walk in the park here, as he's trying to keep that front left wheel in the slick spot while putting the other drive tires in the grippy dirt. As we check back in on Carter Lenz, he's once again closing the gap to Derek Grigsby as well as Greg Mitchell. He's got Steven Gibson, he slides his way through, and oh, almost trying to make it a 2-for-1 there with Grigsby.
Yeah, he was having a look there, couldn't quite make it work, but it was a very stylish move nonetheless from Carter Lenz, being able to take that number 4 spot from Plask, who's now down 4 spots from where he began. Also making the hardest charge of Carter Lenz up 3 spots from where he started. Starting P7 now, found his way up into P4 in the number 4.
Yeah, I still don't know what's going to happen. I think we still have a good chance of a late race caution here. The more the track gets burned in, pretty much, the tougher it gets to really stay fast and consistent without tiptoeing these cars around. And as I say it, it is willed into existence. Caution out for lap 33.
It's like David Reed and Mark Cassano, I believe, was involved in that one. We're going to watch David Reed as he makes his way around in the 52 to see exactly what happened there. So it looks like he got loose on the low line, saw that, ooh. And there's Mark Cassano.
Gives him the old boop there.
Yeah, I don't think much damage was caused from the Cassano hit. But that was definitely a massive choke to that front end of the 52.
Yeah, look at the front left of Reed. You see it all towed out there?
Yeah, although it was definitely not an aero-based track, so maybe a little bit of trail line damage won't hurt him too much. Whether that's affecting his steering or not, whether he hurt his engine, because we all know the engine is in the front of that car, and he hit the front of the of that pit wall there, so I'm not sure if that will affect him in this race. He is still a lap down compared to everyone else. There's only 3 people currently a lap down from a leader. However, you know, he could still turn things around. It is Bristol.
As we get ready to go back live, it looks like we've got about 8 drivers on the lead lap, and just about at the halfway mark for the evening. Now, David Reed hasn't come down pit road yet, which is a little surprising to me, because, Finley, I'm not sure if you know, but the next-gen Cup cars just had the new damage model pushed out to them. We talked about it last week, I think, where we were a little bit surprised, and one of the few times as broadcasters, we were hoping to see some sort of big crash, but didn't really get to see the new exploding parts in the car. And so far, Bristol's been pretty mild as well, as we're on our 2nd caution. Yeah,
last race we managed to go green the whole way, so it was a brilliant job from these drivers, keeping it nice and clean. Bristol Motor Speedway halfway through the race, 2 cautions, or the 2nd caution of the night. I was just watching on the gearbox of our current race leader, Jared Reed, in the number 5 machine, being able to gap Mitchell by around about 3.5 seconds, I believe it was. So it definitely looks like he has those line work down to a T, and he knows exactly what he needs to do. And he'll be just looking to get a nice jump, and then try and stretch that gap away again.
Yeah, I think Reed, I would imagine is not going to have any problems. It looks like Gibson, Kleeman, and David Reed all come down pit road. No, David Reed did not. My apologies. So 2 drivers in pit road, Gibson, Kleeman, and maybe now David Reed's coming down. I think they've got both pit roads open here tonight. So I'm almost wondering if some drivers came down pit road by accident.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Also having the 2 pit roads sometimes, actually, scratch that. There are 2 pit roads, and they are both open, meaning that they could go down the wrong one. Both straightaways looking very similar here at Bristol. I can imagine, I've done it myself, where you've gone down the wrong one, and kind of screwed yourself over a little bit. Although under pacing, it's not as bad of a mistake to make. It's definitely not something you want to be doing when you're racing for position.
I think David Reed, I should say, may have gotten a little bit psyched out in the first one. And I think he's going to take an extended stay here. He looks pretty heavily damaged with that front left wheel, kind of, to me, looks towed out pretty aggressively. So I expect to see that 52 machine in pit road for a while, and we're going to try and fire this thing up right at the halfway mark and see what Jared Reed can do here.
As now watching the number 5 machine, he will have control of the restart. So iRacing official base truck will go around for one last time. Getting ready for the second restart of the night.
It's going to be Jared Reed, Greg Mitchell, your front row. Derek Grigsby, Carter Lind, your second row. Leo and Plask, your third row. As we pull up the dashboard for Jared Reed, let's see what he's going to do here. Stays down low, trying to get the number 5 machine hooked up, and still hitting speeds of 100 miles an hour here at Bristol on dirt. That is absolutely cooking it. You can see Greg Mitchell right behind number 2, and I'm going to be quiet here in this corner. Listen to Jared Reed paddling that throttle.
Yeah, you can see he's definitely giving it a nice little play, trying to find all the grip he can find on that track.
Yeah, just kind of babying throttle, not wanting to hold it wide all the way around. The big thing here is staying hooked up. As we're still looking backwards at Reed, but he's again put it in that really grippy section of track here. Going a little bit further back, things are busy from about 3rd to
that's Plask.
7th place, and no! That was Aaron Sayre and Stephen Plask. I think that was Plask that spun around, and poor Sayre nowhere to go in the 42 machine, just absolutely drills the 8. We're watching Stephen Plask here, the number 8. Slowing it down. Now, the section he's in right here, very, very slick, and you can see the moment of no return. He's full wheel lock to the right. There's Nick Leo, goes to the high line to try and avoid. Looks like Grigsby also sees it, but poor Aaron Sayre was already committed to the slide and just drills Plask there.
Just going to get a quick replay on that, but on the onboard from Aaron Sayre. We can just get that very, very quickly here. We can just see he just starts coming down. There's almost nothing he can do. Tries to crank that wheel to the left, but can't quite make it. Contacting the number 8, I think it was. Yeah, number 8.
Yeah, Stephen Plask. And you're right, Phil. There's nowhere for him to go there. And when you're already committed to the slide like that, you just really can't do anything. So that's going to be the 3rd caution as we go back live and get him gridded up behind that iRacing safety car. I think it's going to be Reed and Mitchell on the front row, Leo and Lenz your second row, Grigsby, Vinoski your third row.
The 2 hard charge of the night, both Carter Linz and Stephen Gibson up 3 spots from where they began, as well as Jake Vinoski, as well in the number 7, so 3 drivers up 3 spots from where they began, making up those positions slowly but surely as we reach, I think, yes, I can do maths. We are past the halfway mark. 44 is definitely not half of 75.
There you go.
Got there in the end.
Try this again. See what these guys can do. But I'm intrigued. This has been about what I expected, I would say, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely not something out of the ordinary. Not a whole lot of crashing going on, but when something happens, it's just a massive pileup because, especially with the dirt, drivers don't have as much control over the cars as they would do on the asphalt. So definitely, You know, you got to allow for the fact that if there's an incident ahead, as we saw with Aaron Sayer, he just can't crank that wheel hard enough to get out the way. So if something happens in front of you, that's the risk with Bristol. You kind of like automatically collected unless you got the reactions of, I don't know, what's something that has those fast reactions, James?
I don't think reactions are going to do you any good there, Finley. When you already pitched in, fully committed to your ride, and because if you give it more gas, you're going to spin to the left, try and spin down track to avoid the driver. But all these guys are very experienced. They know, hey, usually if there's a crash going on, hitting the gas is kind of the opposite muscle memory these guys have. And if you do slam on the brakes, it tends to push that car up the track and collect even more people. So I think he was just along for the ride at that point, and unfortunately just wrong place, wrong time for Aaron Sayer.
Yeah, definitely there's different principles. As you just said, hitting the brakes will make you go up. Hitting the gas you need to just induce that more rotation to keep the car down low and just hope that you can avoid them. But there's not a whole lot that you can do. You just got to pray, I suppose. Look and pray.
Lick the stamp and send it the other time. So looks like David Reed may have retired here in the 52 machine as he sits in pit road. And so far, it's going to be 10 drivers out on track. No, excuse me, on the lead lap. 11 still out on track. And let's try this once more here. Less than 30 laps left to go.
Gonna jump back on for the restart with Jared Reed here in the number 5 machine. As it looks like Mitchell on the outside gets a bit of an equal start. Nick Leo in the 69 as well. Getting right up into the nose. Oh!
Slides up in front of Mitchell.
I'm not sure if that was deliberate, but it was a very good defending move nevertheless. Nick Leo is up into second place and right on the rear end of that Reed now. Reed, he knows his championship rival, Jared Reed. Oh, sorry, Nick Leo is riding his bumper now. Maybe Nick Leo will be able to stick with him. We know Mitchell doesn't quite have the pace on the long run. Will Leo have that pace to catch him?
Yeah, I almost wonder if Nick Leo had something in the back pocket coming into tonight. He's waited till very late in the race to try and charge forward the number 69 machine, as it looks like Mitchell and Grigsby still linked up in a battle for that final podium spot. Grigsby in the black and white Coca-Cola number 1, Mitchell in the number 2, sponsored by Monster. And it also looks like Carter Lynn's the number 4 machine wants to get up here in the fray as well. So despite the track really getting chewed up here, drivers trying to make some moves, and looks like Lynn's is going to really press the effort against Grigsby.
Yeah, he's really trying there. Lynn's just trying to have a look, trying all he can to get that final podium position, but it looks like Grigsby is able to edge that gap just a little bit. And is now trying to focus on Mitchell ahead of him. Will he be able to stick with him? Close that gap once again and have another go. So he's getting very close again, so he will have another chance, I believe, coming into the next corner. Will he be able to do it? He switches to the inside. He tries to get that. He does have the track distance initially, but it looks like Mitchell on the outside will get the better run. As it looks like Carter Lynn's now having a go on the outside.
Yeah, I think Grigsby was afraid to throw it up there and fully commit to the slide, and that really caused him to check up, trying to hold it down that inside line. Lynn's moves up a spot, now taking over the 4th place position. Going a little bit further back, Stephen Plask, Aaron Sayer. Good to see Sayer still out on track, the number 42 machine. Hey, good to see Plask still out there, number 8 machine. Both those cars have had some big hits tonight, and they're still out there just charging forward with everything they've got. I wonder how the handling is on Plask's number 8 machine. I think they had to reattach that front left after a while, so good to see the guy still out there charging forward, and the laps really clicking off quickly tonight.
Yeah, laps are really ticking off quickly. 22 to go here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We cut back to our leaders once again. Jared Reed is able to stretch a back gap now. It's 1.5 seconds. So it looks like Reed does have the initial pace advantage. But will he be able to hold that? Will he still be able to find the grip? Because it does change lap by lap here on the dirt. It's not consistent with where that grip is. It changes throughout the race dynamically, depending on which lines the drivers are taking. Will Nick Leo be able to find that gap? And maybe find that extra grip that Jared Reed may not be able to find. He's got to hope that something happens, because as it stands, it looks like Jared Reed will be able to eat away at Nick Leo's championship lead.
Yeah, I think his biggest hope right now is a late race caution to try and interrupt the drive of the number 5 machine. Now, both Jared Reed and Nick Leo I believe, are both up 2 spots from where they started. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Finley, as I had to do some software work behind the scenes, but that late race caution may come to fruition, as I think Cassano and Gibson, it looked like Leo just barely got through there.
We'll get another record rewind on that as we're riding with Mark Cassano in the 44s. It looks like Gibson's coming up the track a little bit loose out the corner and just collects him on the outside line.
Now watch this. Nick Leo's going to slide through here. I think it must have been Gibson that was coming down the track. Almost collected Nick Leo on that one. So yeah, we're watching Nick Leo. Watch this. Things almost got very exciting for the second place driver. There's Gibson the right side. And
ooh.
That's the last thing that
coming.
Nick Leo was looking for.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if I cut you off, I got a little loose off that corner exit. I didn't mean to come across.
Well, here's the question, Finley. We're going to re-rack them. It's going to be about 15 laps left to go in this restart, I think. What can Nick Leo do here to try and get out there and keep Jared Reed within striking distance? Is he going to try and make an early move on the start? What are you thinking we're going to see out of the 69?
I think he knows that Reed does have a little bit of long-term pace, so I think he's going to be really close on this restart and needs to focus on getting right on the back and just maybe trying to get, because we know the outside line is more powerful, at least for now. So if he can hold the outside line and stay alongside Jared Reed, he may have a chance going into 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. If he's going to try and do something, it's got to be early on in the run, because Jared Reed seems to have been able to just kind of pull away every time he gets a strong start here, as that was Steven Gibson limping the 53 machine down into pit road for some last minute repairs, excuse me. As again, there's no fast repairs here on the Tuesday night Rubbins Racin Next Gen Cup Series. So if you find yourself with a wadded up race car, you got to fix it the old fashioned way with the old virtual pit crew and a little bit of virtual duct tape. It's going to be Jared Reed, Nick Leo, the front row, Mitchell, Lenz, your second row, Grigsby and Plask, your third row for this restart.
As I'm making our way around now, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can go green for the rest of the way and see some more action. But I'm sure with the new damage model, we wouldn't. I'll definitely be up for some more incidents because, well, you know, that's interesting. That's entertainment.
Yeah, it's been a fairly calm night. Was this our third caution, Finley?
No, the fourth caution in the night, I believe.
Okay. So, I mean, not the worst night as far as performance goes, and I think all the drivers were kind of aware going into tonight that it could get very, very interesting. Again, some drivers just out here for survival, trying to score some points, and 15 laps left to go. I think the green flag runs have gone out the window at this point, but I am apprehensive to see if we're going to get 14 laps green as we get them fired back up.
Hopefully we can. We got another 14 laps to go, as you said. Watching now onto the gearbox once again of Jared Reed, our current leader, as he... I thought it was the restart then, it scared me. I thought we had 1 lap to go, which we do.
Keeping you on your toes is all.
Yeah, keep me on my toes. It looks like the lights on top of the pace car have gone out, meaning that we will go green next time by. Jared Reed lining up those rear tyres, just getting ready to go. He's eager. We're now coming down the back straight. And number 5 will be focusing on this restart. He also knows that Nick Leo may try and make a move early on because he knows that it is his pretty much his only chance if nothing else happens to make a move on him. So he's got to make sure this restart is perfect like the previous 3. As the pace car ducks down back into pit road, Nick Leo up alongside. As we go green here, and it looks like they've got an equal start there. Nick Leo on the outside line, Jared Reed on the inside. Jared Reed will have the initial run, but will Nick Leo have the exit on the outside line to match it? He does have a
big run out of Leo.
He has a run, can't quite do it. He has the outside line again. He'll have to run back again, going down the front stretch. But it looks like he will not be able to get close enough once again. So Jared Reed stays ahead as Nick Leo nearly hits the wall coming down the track.
Oh no, here we go. Nick Leo makes a pass on the outside line.
Jared,
Reed, who is working the bottom groove, not able to keep that momentum. And now Greg Mitchell's going to join as well. So I'm not sure. Oh, and it's going to be another caution. Aaron Sayer has thrown it away.
We gotta watch this one. Wreckage Rewind number 5. So it looks like they're going too wide. Yeah, just lose that back end. And I believe that was Jake Vanoski in the number 7 machine just tapping him around.
I think Vanoski helped finish that one off. We saw Vanoski in that replay tag the wall, check up. Aaron Sayre throws it in deep in the 42, and I think Vanoski didn't quite have that card under control, or maybe got a little bit antsy to try and make something happen, and just ever so slightly gave Sayre that bump. And now for the restart, look at this. It's Nick Leo and Mitchell on the front row. Jarrett Reed will be starting third on the inside line.
Yeah, a little bit of a switch up. We know he does have the pace, so if he can go green the rest of the way, he may have a shot back at Nick Leo. But he has to make sure this restart is perfect once again and stays with Nick Mitchell and Leo in front. But as it stands, Nick Leo will be able to stretch his lead in the championship. But we know, I was just saying about 10 laps ago, that Jared Reed was able to eat away at his championship lead. So I think we still have a little bit more action to go. So I wouldn't definitely call it a day just yet.
Yeah, I think we're about to see things get very, very exciting very, very quickly. Drivers, and when I say drivers, I especially mean Jared Reed, who's led dominantly this entire race, knows there's not a lot of time left to make something happen. Because I think it's going to be about 7 laps left to go in this restart, I think. So I think you're about to see a lot of aggressiveness, and on a track that's very, very slick already, going to be tough to do. Now, on that start, Reed seemed like he was maybe thinking the bottom line was going to be a little bit faster, and we saw Nick Leo able to carry more momentum on the high line, really carrying some speed down the stretch. So will Reed maybe adopt that plan and go back to the high line, or we can see the number 5 still committed to the bottom groove and try and work his way forward?
We see it did work on the restart. Nick Leo did have the run going down the backstretch, but he wasn't quite close enough to make the move. So it looks like he was able to hold it quite nicely on the inside. So maybe he'll try and make a move on Mitchell straight away, because Mitchell is on the outside line, and we know Jared Reed does like making a move down the inside if he needs to. So it maybe, just maybe, he'll try and make the move early on, and then set after Nick Leo. But it's a very big if.
So I think I was right. I think it's going to be 7. No, it's going to be 6 laps left to go in this restart as we try and get them double file. Leo's going to be starting the inside line. Mitchell up high. Keep an eye out, though, again, on that number 5 machine. I think he's going to be pushing very hard and very aggressively to get back out up front, because we're late in the season. Finley, remind me, how close is the points championship at this point?
It is very, very close. Just last race, I believe, they were going in an equal points. And Nick Leo did finish in P3, Jared Reed in P4. So it looks like there's not much of a lead there. So if Jared Reed does finish in front, especially this high up the grid as well, it definitely could shake things up. Because we're just past the halfway mark now. So we are coming down into the final few races of the season. So they'll be trying to get any kind of points they'll be able to get. As it looks like we'll be going 5 to go with the green flag. That's 5 laps Jared Reed has to make a move back on Nick Leo and challenge for the lead this race.
And these guys do get bonus points for finishing without any incidents as well, so that's got to be in the back of their mind as well. I don't think I've seen either one of those drivers tied up in an incident so far tonight, but that could very well be the difference if, if Jared Reed finishes second with a 0x while Leo finishes up front with an incident point. That could still throw things in the balance of Reed. So a little bit of strategizing here, but pace truck is in.
Nick Leo with a good start.
Get ready.
Nick Leo gets a great start there. It looks like Jared Reed will be down the inside of Mitchell. Will he be able to make the move, however? Looks like Mitchell was blocked up a little bit by Leo on the outside line. As it looks like Jared Reed is able to get down the inside of Mitchell. And he's now setting after Nick Leo. 5 laps there is to go. However, though, I wouldn't count Stephen Plask out of the race. He's made his way back up, and I thought for a minute he made it past maybe Grigsby and possibly Mitchell. So it looks like they're squabbling ahead, and he may be able to capitalise from this. The number 8 now down the inside of the 1.
This is the crash waiting to happen with Mitchell, Grigsby, and Plask running so close together. Panning back to Nick Leo. He's about a half second ahead over Jared Reed. Now we go on to the back bumper, and look how close Reed's getting. Reed trying to work the outside line. Leo down low. Ooh, what's going to happen?
Oh, they touch.
Oh, ever so close there. Nick Leo tries to gather it up. Here comes Greg Mitchell.
Oh,
And then Derek Grigsby just shoves the 69 of
and that's
Leo.
Plask again.
Oh no, Plask. So it's showing Plask and Gibson involved in that one.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to get a replay on that one. We'll be watching Stephen Gibson here on the number 53 machine, as it looks like he's the first car to be involved. So he's on the outside line. Gets a little bit loose, cuts into Matt Kleeman, and I believe that was also Mark Cassano involved in that one. I'm interested to see where Stephen Plask was involved in that one, or whether it's just... I'm pretty sure it was a separate incident.
He's chasing it.
Yeah, just lose on his own. Very unfortunate for number 8. He's shown a lot of promise this race. He did have the pace. He did qualify on pole position, but it looks like he just isn't able to keep control of that car for long as he needs for that race stint. So all the drivers maybe not as quick as him, but they're able to keep it more consistent, and that's really the name of the game here. In any kind of form of racing, you can be fast on the single lap pace, but if you can't hold it over a race stint, it's worth nothing.
So this is where it gets extra super exciting as we go into green white checker conditions. Our first attempt at that GWC. Now for the fans at home, if you're kind of new here watching your friends and family do the virtual racing, if we can take the white flag without a big incident, we will finish this race as a proper race. But if we see a caution before the leader takes the white, we will go into our second overtime attempt of the evening. And if we have a big crash under the second green-white checker attempt, same clause, if nobody takes the white flag, we will end this thing under caution here tonight, which I don't think fans or drivers are going to want to see. So fingers crossed. I mean, I think there's a pretty good chance we can bring this home here.
There's a pretty good chance. They've only got to go green for 3 laps. But anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Cautions do tend to breed cautions, especially at a dirt track. You get the field stacked back up, and you can see that very prominent slick spot. I'd call it about halfway, 3/4 of the way up the track here. And that was a great angle. Greg Mitchell in the number 2 machine. You can see he's pretty much running the line he wants to be on for the race. Jared Reed seems like he's been very quick pretty much everywhere he wants to put the car, and I think that's what Reed and Mitchell are doing here, is kind of scouting out their lines to see what the track's looking like without the pressure of fighting that wheel at 100 miles an hour, and maybe planning their attack here for the first green-white checker.
Yeah, they've only got 2 laps to do it, so there's only 2 laps to make the move. So definitely at this point we're going to see the full aggression of the drivers. Obviously Jared Reed as well, I believe, is still on 0 incidents, so we'll be able to bring home those extra points as well. But I think, well, why is he going to treasure more? Is he going to treasure the double points or the win?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here. Now, we saw Nick Leo try and check up to avoid getting into Reed earlier, so you can tell he's driving very mindful of those incident points here. These drivers awarded incident points for losing car control, tagging a wall too hard, or worse yet, hitting another driver. So everybody's giving each other plenty of leeway out on track, but I think that may go out the window here for the first green-white checker attempt, and we may see some bumpers come into play.
Yeah, I mean, these cars can take a banging. That's what they're built for. They're not Formula 1 cars with all the fancy aero. They can take a hit if they need to. So will the drivers choose to use those front bumpers to good, well, I wouldn't say good use, but to a use.
Yeah, you paid for the whole car, might as well use the whole car.
Yeah.
Race car is in, green flag is out, Reed on the inside line. Looks like you got a little bit of a push there, as I think that's going to be Leo and Grigsby going side by side in the final podium spot. Grigsby on the high line, Nick Leo down low. Grigsby trying to carry as much momentum as he can here, but Leo hits him with a slide job.
And that's
Grigsby
into the wall.
returns and Leo is around. The white flag is out. Will the caution come out? No. Jared Reed shows us the race leader, but ever so slightly, as Greg Mitchell trying to make something happen. There's cars scattered everywhere. Will the track be cleared? As guess, the checkered flag is out. Jared Reed's going to pick up the win here.
Oh, Greg Mitchell, very, very close. Oh.
Well, that was a finish.
That was the finish of the half for sure. Jared Reed coming home to get that win. Nick Cleo all the way down in P9. Definitely not the finish of the race you would have wanted.
Yeah, that's not going to go well for the points. That should put Jared Reed out there with a commanding lead. But that's one of the most wild finishes I think I've called in a while, and Jared Reed's definitely going to enjoy the celebration here. That was a spectacular win.
Yeah, absolutely spectacular, I agree. Yeah, a lot of action those final few laps there. I'll be looking forward to see from the drivers' perspectives what they thought was going on through those final moments. However, the man of the hour, excuse me, Jared Reed, with a few donuts there, and yeah, he'll be a happy bloke.
We're going to try and get these drivers up here into the waiting room after just an absolute spectacular finish. Waiting on Jared Reed, Greg Mitchell, Derek Grigsby to make their way to the virtual broadcast hauler. I think they're all down there together talking amongst themselves, going, my, oh my, what a finish. As we're going to try and get these guys up here. Looks like we've got Jared Reed. We're going to try and get Mitchell and Grigsby. We're going to try and get a super slow-mo pulled up of that green-white checker attempt starting on the green flag there. As we're going to start getting guys up here. Up first, we're going to have Derek Grigsby joining us in the number 1 machine. Derek, what a night, what a night. As we pan to your car in the replay, I mean, did you think you're going to be up here in that 3rd place spot by the time it's all said and done? Derek? Derek, can you hear me? Derek, we can't hear you, Derek. Finley, we can't hear Derek.
To Derek?
So we're going to try a little bit more to see if we can get Grigsby to queue up that mic so we can talk to our 3rd place driver. Let's see what we can do here. Derek, you got a copy?
I don't think we do.
So unfortunately, not going to be able to talk to Grigsby here tonight. Finishing in the 3rd place spot. We're going to pan now to Greg Mitchell finishing 2nd in the number 2 machine. Greg, you got a copy?
I copy.
Yeah,
Greg,
you got someone.
After you, Finley.
Yeah, definitely a chaotic final few laps. You saw the battle between Nick Cleo and just kind of careening off to the side. That definitely helped you. From your perspective, what was going on in those dying moments? What was going through your head?
I wasn't really sure if those guys were going to race hard or not. I was just trying to be in position if something did happen to them. The track got so slick there that 2nd half. I was honestly just trying to keep the back end going in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Finley. Great. Now, talking about that track and slick, it looked like the high line was kind of the most dominant line, but were you trying to scout out lines or anything while we were under caution for that green-white checker to see if you could find some moisture on the track?
Yeah, fast line was definitely the quickest way around. Jared was doing a good job early on in the race. It's so treacherous up there. I mean, if your car gripped just a little bit, there wasn't any give. So I was just kind of taking it easy, trying to stay around the middle of the track most of the race. And then I tried the high line there on at the end and hit the wall a couple times trying to keep up with Jared. But yeah, high line was definitely the fastest way. It was just tough up there.
Yeah, 100%. Although, before we sign off, is there any sponsors, friends, or family home you want to shout out?
Yeah, thank you to Next Level for sponsoring and Butt Kicker. We appreciate that and keeping the series going. And again, as always, thank you to you guys.
Our pleasure, Greg. That was Greg Mitchell finishing in the second place spot. Up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Jared Reed bringing it home in the number 5 Ford Mustang.
Jared Reed, we can't miss the action in those dying moments there. You did have the overall pace, it seems, being able to edge that gap to the drivers behind you. But in those final laps, I just want to see from your side as well, what were you thinking? And what was kind of going through your head in the final few laps with that battle with Nick?
Yeah, those last few restarts, I'd kind of moved down to the bottom because the top was just kind of scaring me. I felt like I was either spinning down to the inside or just slamming into the wall, and felt like I could keep up on the bottom fine, and it was a little bit safer. But then I ended up catching the apron and almost clipped the water barrels and lost the lead. Had to get it back on the next few restarts.
Now, Jared, talking about that bottom line, I think it was about 5 to 10 laps prior before that green-white checker attempt. We saw you kind of get off your favorite high line and start trying something new. Were you thinking there's going to be a little bit more traction, a little bit more moisture down to the bottom of the track, or what led to the decision to try something different late in the race?
Yeah, I think both were probably equally as fast, just depending on the driving style. It was just I didn't want to keep on slamming into the wall and lose time that way.
Yeah, although before we sign off, Jared Reed, you have the pleasures of yeah. Is there anyone cheering you on from home? Any friends, family, sponsors you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody joining this race. It was a lot of fun. Actually went green a whole lot more than I think everybody was expecting. So thanks to everybody that showed up, and those that ran a clean race, they'll get bonus points at the end. Thanks to our sponsors, Next Level Racing and Butt Kicker, and thanks to you guys for being up here calling these races.
Yes, it was a
Always
pleasure.
our pleasure, man. A good time as always. Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
And finally, that was Jared Reed, race winner. But now we're going to pull up Derek Grigsby. I think he's got his mic working. Grigsby, you got a copy?
Yeah.
There we go. Grigsby, glad to have you up here in the number 1 machine. A great race. Looked like a pretty wild race from start to finish.
Yeah, it was pretty grippy at the beginning, but it got really slick at the end. Was hard to pass, but just had to be in the right place. Got a good restart on that last yellow flag, so that was great.
Now, go ahead, Finley. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Go on.
I'll say, Derek, now we saw a little bit of carnage from behind the number 1 machine. Were you expecting things to get so out of control there at the green-white checker?
I figured there was going to be some contact somewhere. You know, got real slick. Not really anywhere to have any grip, but everybody wants to go for it, so that's kind of just where we ended up.
And before we sign off, is there any friends, family, sponsors you'd like to shout out before we sign off?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to all the fans that don't exist and don't watch, and for my sponsors that don't pay me anything. Big thank you to them too.
Well said. That was Derek Grigsby finishing 3rd here tonight. Rounding out a wild race. Finley, we saw cautions, we saw crashes, and we saw Jared Reed extend the points lead on a Tuesday night. Pretty good way to spend the evening, if you dare ask.
Yeah, especially with those final things at the end. Nick Clear not having the best of nights in terms of points. He was looking to go up for a podium, but in the dying moments being shuffled down to P9, which would make Jared Reed our new points leader going into the next round.
So a wild, fun night all the way around where it was Jared Reed, Greg Mitchell, and Derek Grigsby bringing home the top 3 spots. As always, on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight, supporting the broadcast, supporting the league, and dare I say, supporting your favorite broadcasters. My name's been James East, accompanied by the world-famous Finley Fitzsimmons. We look forward to having you back same time, same place next week. Have a great night, everybody.